code of ethics. For me, this is about love. And they hate women.
Thing you have ever seen. Man, I have so much that I need to share with everyone because the discoveries that I've made in the most recent past, over the last month, 2 months, but mostly the last month, everything has really, started to come together for me as far as what's actually been happening with my targeting. Anyways, I can only speak for myself, but I'm gonna say right now that I know for a fact that my personal targeting has a lot to do with Vril parasites, Vril drones, and the Vril lizards. And that is definitely, for sure, not any type of conspiracy at all. It's definitely the truth. Those things are 100% real, and they are, as I suspected a year ago, 2 years ago, when I thought that my cats were both Vril droned, which they were. They are running rampant. They are a massive, huge problem on the surface of this planet. And they are body snatching. They are body snatching the people that we love. And that is what a gang stalker is. It's a Vril drone. It's somebody who's been droned and who has absorbed the essence of the host's body. And it's actually happening. It's happening everywhere, all over the planet. They've been around for a really long time, but now, wow, look at that cloud. That's really interesting. Oh my goodness. Whoa, I wonder what that is. But now they are really, really pouring it on thick. And these little fuckers have a vendetta against me, for sure. And I know that the sad part is that they are not in control of themselves at all. They have no control whatsoever. They are just puppets. Just like the reptilians, just like, they're the Archon's puppets. And they do whatever they are programmed to do. They don't have control over their own bodies. They're literally just an empty vessel then. That's when the Vril parasite's the host, so your or my loved one, it takes over the brain, and it just makes it so that they can be a walk-in, and they can be an empty vessel to whoever and whatever wants to come through to terrorize you. They play by no rules. They do whatever the fuck they want. They do not have the same kind of code of ethics as humans. And they hate women. They hate the divine feminine with a passion. They hate the divine masculine with a passion. They hate love with a passion. They will do whatever it takes to ruin and destroy a relationship, a happy home, a newly formed love that has a hopeful future, and that is genuinely finding true love together. They find that frequency in the matrix, and then they make their plan and they plot to shut it down. And they do it in the most insidious, terrifying way. And I don't know if any of you have heard of Keylontic Science or Ashiana Dean, but if you haven't, you should go and look into it immediately, because she talks about this, that basically we are currently in a phantom matrix system right now, and that our matrix was hijacked by the AI a long time ago, and it's a negative AI that's been controlling humanity and ruling over humanity, and this negative AI controls the Archons, and it controls the reptilians and the Anunnaki and the Draconians, and there's another system that is actually a black hole system, and it's another phantom matrix. But this phantom matrix literally used a wormhole to basically connect itself to our matrix. And they're called the Weesadek matrix, and they are literally an inverted matrix. So like they basically inbred with each other, and their codes and their DNA got all messed up and all fucked up, and they ended up basically regressing. So instead of ascending, they began to regress, and eventually where that took them was down a path called, I forget what it was called. You'll have to reference Ashiana Dean for this. I'll leave some video references in the description that you can watch, and that will help this all make more sense. But I really truly think that the Weesadeks, so what they do is they, as of 2020, they were able, do you guys remember a couple years ago when all of a sudden it was like, I don't know if you guys had this experience, but it felt to me like everyone and everything was just like fighting to get into a body. And they, if you weren't conscious enough in your own body, like if you weren't holding a certain percentage of your own consciousness, your organic consciousness in your body, then you were able to get hacked. I don't know if you guys saw all your friends and family basically getting hacked by the AI, where all of a sudden it was like they weren't themselves anymore. They were straight up like, I know a lot of us thought that they had been cloned, that our friends and family had been cloned and were taken over that way, and they weren't the same person at all anymore. But I think that I have figured out what has been happening in a lot of cases anyways. What has actually been happening is that the Weesadek, the beings from the Weesadek Phantom Matrix, a couple years ago began to come through the wormhole, and they were then able to literally take over the bodies of any being from our matrix that was not holding over 30% of the organic divine blueprint that their DNA was originally carrying. So anything that was 30% or lower, if they had less than 30% of their original blueprint, they were able to be hacked and hijacked. And what I mean by that is that just like the Brill drones, the Weesadek shadow dancers, they're called shadow dancers. And they are able to, just like the Brill, absorb the life force, the essence of the being that it is hacking into and hijacking, and it's literal body snatching in both cases. It's not technological possession, it's not possession at all, because in possession, basically, you're kicking the soul out of the body and bouncing it out into the field, the ether, and there's always a chance during a normal possession that a soul is able to be bounced back, is able to regain its consciousness, is able to gather its soul fragments up enough that it's able to come back into the body and bounce whatever being possessed it and took over the body, is able to bounce that being out and reclaim its body. And there's always that chance, but with this, just like with the Vril, the original soul that was in the body no longer exists anymore. It is literally these Wisadek shadow dancers absorb the essence of that original being. They take its original DNA divine template and they rip it apart and then they put it back together. They reform it and reconstruct it in an inverted blueprint like they have. So the being, your loved one, no longer exists at all. And that's the sickest part of this. And that is why we all feel like our friends and family, all of the targeted individuals out there, I'm talking to you if you're being severely and heavily targeted for the last couple of years in this matrix. And I mean not just like different colored cars following you. I mean like everyone and everything that you had or you knew got taken away from you because these beings want you dead. They do not want you to be able to survive. They do not want you to be able to exist in this matrix anymore. And they go through whatever means that they can, including taking away all of your friends and all of your family that you had and that you knew. And basically sending in either a Vril drone to take control of the body via a brain parasite, an Archon brain parasite, which is reference Donald Marshall for this if you don't know what a Vril drone is or a Vril Archon brain parasite. It's like a little worm called a proboscis that comes off of the Vril's head, and it has its life force energy in it, and it goes in the eyeball of the victim, goes in through their eyeball, and then it wraps itself around its orbital nerve, whatever, occipital nerve, and then it tunnels its way and buries itself down into, do you see the sky right now? That is crazy looking. It tunnels its way and buries itself deep down into the reptilian brainstem of the victim, and it takes over their entire frontal cortex, is that what it is? Or the back of their brainstem. And it basically gets rid of their ability to have empathy, and then it slowly absorbs its life essence and it takes it over so that being never doesn't exist anymore. It absorbs that being into itself. And what I'm making the comparison between is that and the Wisadek shadow dancers from this Wisadek Phantom Matrix are so strikingly similar. The similarities between the two are scary, how similar they are in what they do. And the Wisadek shadow dancers, it's like an art form what they do. It's a sick, twisted, fucking horrifying art form that they are able to keep the person's personality intact, keep their memory bank intact completely, and they're able to literally absorb, just like the Vril, absorb their life essence, their original DNA template, their divine blueprint. They take it, and if it's less than 30% of the divine blueprint left in the body of that being, they rip it apart and they reassemble it as their inverted Wisadek blueprint. And it's a sick, fucking horrifying sky. I've never seen it look like this before. This is crazy. Wow. Yeah, it's a sick, horrifying thing that they do. And so when you talk to the person, it sounds like your loved one. It sounds like your family member or your husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or brother or sister or friend. And it looks just like them. And they are so good, they will use whatever means that they can to get you to come with them and to get you to switch sides, from whatever side you're on, from whatever you're trying to do here as your mission. Because if you didn't know this, targeted individuals, you are all here on a very, very important mission. That is why you're being targeted. This is soul targeting. This is soul group targeting. We are all from different soul groups. And we are here to restore the human genome that has been desecrated by these evil entities that have been controlling us for so long. They took our DNA, our divine blueprint, and they ripped it apart and shredded it apart until we became what we have now. And we are not by any means human beings anymore. Human beings were very, very different. They didn't have to eat food. They were breatharians, and they were very, very tall, and they were very thin, and they were beautifully stunning, and they were angelic. They were angelic earth humans. They didn't have to sleep, and they would just meditate and, reconnect with source. And we have lost all of these practices because we've been living in a phantom matrix. But the reason that the targeted individuals are here is because we came to restore the original divine blueprint. And we need to band together. We need this knowledge to get out, because this is the truth. This knowledge is the truth. I need everyone to spread this around. You need to look into Ashiana Dean's work. This is who I'm referencing for everything that I've just spoken about, except for the Vril. That's Donald Marshall. But this has much less to do with the Vril and much, much more to do with Keylontic science. Keylontic science. And I think what they did, in order to keep the Vril a secret, in order to keep the Vril from being well known in the Matrix in any way, because you never hear about the Vril. You hear about the reptilians and the Dracos and this and the Mantids, but you never hear people who are even a big part of the UFO and alien community. They don't even know about the Vril. Nobody knows about the Vril. Nobody talks about the Vril. Nobody even touches on the Vril. The people who are all the head leaders of the UFO and alien abductee communities, all of them, even going up as old as like Barbara Lamb and what is her name? The one who writes about the star children who are coming to Mary Rodwell, and Barbara Lamb, and none of them ever have touched on the Vril. None of them. Why is that? Because it's probably the truth. Because it probably has something to do with the truth, and that's why it's not spoken about, because they probably are the ones that this centers around. They are probably the ones that are actually at fault for this. And so, yep, I know it's true, because I'm getting hit in the heart right now. I'm getting hit right now by a directed energy weapon that is burning the shit out of my heart and trying to get me to shut up. That's validation for me. I know that I'm speaking truth, and I'm speaking something that's real when these beings hear what I'm saying, and they try and put me into immense pain to get me to shut up. And you know what? For the last 3.5 years since my targeting began, it's worked. It's worked really well. They got me to shut up. In fact, they got me to do whatever the fuck they wanted me to do by putting me into a state of enough in immense and severe pain and suffering. But guess what? They have literally taken away at this point absolutely everything that I had and everyone that I knew and loved, including both of my cats. They're gone. They're all gone. And I can hear myself being recorded right now. Not by this camera. I can hear myself literally echoing right now, because I can tell when they are recording me and broadcasting me. And they're doing it right now. They've taken away everything that I knew and everyone that I loved and everything that I loved and every bit of safety and security and comfort and love and my primal core needs, all gone. They have taken it all away. In fact, they tried to kill me 3 months ago when I was run over by a car in El Cajon, California, in San Diego, in the middle of the night, in a hit-and-run accident where I literally died. And I think that was by no accident, and it was by no mistake, because I think that they foresaw this coming, because I no longer have anything to lose. So they're having a much harder time controlling me and keeping control over me. A, because I am finally figuring out what's going on here, who I am, what I'm here to do, and how I got here, and what needs to happen in order for this to end the way that it is going to end, the way that it is going to end for humanity, and to awaken as many of my angelic human brothers and sisters as I possibly can in my lifetime, and then to help them activate their divine blueprint, to help them activate their DNA through using Keylontic science, through using Ashiana Dean's information that she brought through. She didn't channel it, and she says that channeling entities of any kind is very, 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 very bad. It's actually damaging to the DNA. Everyone, I suggest that you go and you seek out as much of her information as you possibly can. There is some good information on YouTube, but they shadow banned her and all of her material for the most part from YouTube. So other than the last couple of months where some random, really small channels have, such as mine, have let out little bits of information about her, and you can hear it when you hear them talk about it. When you hear this information, something will resonate inside of you, and you'll know it's the truth. I felt it through my entire being, and it has put every puzzle piece together that has happened to me since I was born, since I was a child. Because this targeting has been going on my entire life, and I did walk into this body when I was 22 years old, as the soul that I am now, as the avatar. I walked in as an avatar coming into this body in order to activate the DNA and awaken other people and get them to activate their DNA as well. And I'm getting all of those memories back in full of everything that's happened. And I am going to be sharing a lot more. And I'm going to try and make another video later on explaining in a little bit better detail. I just had to make this because it's time, and my throat chakra is ready to open. And although they're making it burn right now, and they're making it feel like it's on fire, I'm going to keep talking, and they're not going to shut me up anymore, because for the last 3.5 years, they have done everything in their power to keep me from being able to even post a video on the internet at all. I have never been able to post my testimony. I've never been able to reach out for help when I need it, when I am in trouble, when I need advice, or I need someone. I will record a video and I'll go to post it. It'll immediately delete when I press the stop button. And I'm I'm hoping that this video is protected. My intention for this video is to reach every and all beings who are under the control and manipulation of these dark beings. Anyone who is in the Phantom Matrix, anyone who is being targeted for who they are as a soul and what they're here to do. It's all gonna come out. It's all gonna come out. And what they're doing, the whole thing that they're doing is trying to keep targeted individuals who are angelic humans, who are here to restore the DNA. The humans have 12-strand DNA. The targeted individuals have have the DNA codes basically to fix the human genome and to get humans back to where they're meant to be in their divine blueprint so that they can get back on track and ascend in this solar cycle. Like I said, reference Ashiana Dean. She will explain it all in much, much better detail than I can, but I plan on posting a lot more information about Keylontic science. I know this has been all over the place, but I love you all, and I'm going to try and post a bunch of videos that have been the course of the last couple months for me since losing my apartment illegally. I was evicted in the middle of the night by my landlord's son. And if anyone knows any good lawyers, I really need a lawyer quite badly to sue him, because what he did during COVID was insanely illegal. And I've been out on the street ever since, here in San Diego, really, really struggling. And it was not going too well. And then, like I said, a couple months ago, 2 months ago, I was run over by a car in the middle of the night, and I fractured my skull in 2 places and completely destroyed my knees, and it was trying to recover from that on the street with a broken down car that didn't work in the middle of El Cajon, San Diego, which is like the most gnarly place in the world, was literally my biggest nightmare come true. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And I, in the process, lost my 2 cats. They were let out of the hotel room that I was staying in, and they're both gone now. And they were my family and my best friends. And although I know that they weren't really even themselves anymore, they were Vril droned or Wasadek shadow dancered a long time ago, it was just the comfort of having them with me that it was like the last thing that I had, you know? Because everything that I owned has been stolen at this point. My windows were shattered, smashed in one night of my car when I was gone for like an hour, and I came back and all of my stuff was gone. Everything. So I have had quite a few months, and it's been the most unbelievable dark night of the soul, and it has pushed me into a new state of consciousness and a new state of awareness. And I'm gonna sign off for now, but I'm sending this out with the intention that it reach anyone who may be in a state of confusion, and know that through this information, I promise you, you will receive the answers that you need. You will receive the hope that you need, and you will receive the ability to heal the way that you need in order to succeed in this matrix, in order to control the hologram rather than having the hologram control you. And if you're confused and you don't know why you're being targeted, it's because they want to keep you from your organic timeline. They want to keep you from the timeline that you planned for yourself here as much as possible. That is what gang stalkers are. They are there solely to distract you and to keep you from doing what you plan to do in a day, and then over the course of a week, and then a month, and then a year, and then 10 years goes by, and you're knocked so far off your organic timeline by these motherfuckers that it's impossible for you to do the work that you came here to do, because you've gotten so caught up and so stuck on the gang stalking thing, and on it ruining your life, and it controlling you, and them controlling you, and believe me, I understand. And if I feel hopeful that this is something that can help anyone can, because I was so mind controlled by these people, /am so mind controlled by these people. I literally had, when I was in my apartment, I had, at the worst of it, my gang stalking, I woke up one day and there were 3 men wearing suits that I had never met before in my life and never seen before, that were standing in the middle of my living room, talking to each other, talking about me. And I woke up and I sat up and was all freaked out, because obviously there were 3 old men in my living room that I had never met before talking about me, and I tried to say, what the fuck are you doing here? Who are you people? Get out. And instead of saying that, I literally, like I was being remote controlled, I stood up right there and I turned and I walked into the back room and I sat down. I went into the bathroom, I sat down on the toilet, and I sat down and I fell asleep. I don't know what happened after that, and I woke up hours later. That was in the early morning hours, when it looked like the sun had just come up, and when I woke up it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I was wearing different shirt and different underwear.